Since the inception of historically black colleges and universities, also known as HBCUs, these institutions of higher education and learning in America have become beacons of hope for African Americans seeking self-improvement and educational advancement. Initially, HBCUs were founded with the simple mission of providing a basic education and training for young African Americans to become teachers or tradesmen. The leaders of these crown jewels, like Benedict College and Allen University, played a major role in the success of the college and community relationships. HBCUs have expanded to address social and economic interests by the revitalization of their surrounding communities. Often, HBCUs are nestled in areas dominated by dilapidated housing, inadequate access to services, and high crime, which has led to some HBCUs creating strategies and organizations for community renewal. There are close to 50 organizations, commonly known as Community Development Corporations, CDCs, operated by HBCUs in the country. CDCs have played an integral role in the restoration and development of many economically disadvantaged communities.
Hello, I'm Dr. Rosalind Clark Artis, and I bring greetings from the HBCU that put the BC in HBCU, Benedict College. Congratulations to the Benedict-Allen Community Development Corporation for 25 years of successfully revitalizing the Columbia community, for 25 years of impacting the lives of Columbia's citizens, and 25 years of creating strong, diverse communities that attract new homeowners, for 25 years of building affordable housing, and 25 years of teaching and promoting the fundamentals of home ownership. The Benedict-Allen Community Development Corporation's mission is more crucial now than ever. This past year has been challenging for many families. Weak economic conditions at the national level have translated into hardship in many communities, particularly the minority community. I commend the Benedict-Allen CDC Board of Directors for overseeing an excellent resource for marginalized people in Columbia. I also applaud our honorees for their work to help the CDC to accomplish its mission to improve and revitalize commercial corridors in the city of Columbia. Your contributions to the CDC have been immeasurable. Let us continue to work together to find effective ways to positively make changes in our growing community. Thank you and congratulations.
And certainly with regards to CDCs, they provide opportunities for institutions like Benedict and Allen to model their interest in social justice, to model their interest in economic justice, and a general commitment to the greater good. And certainly for at least 3 or 4 decades, CDCs have been used fairly extensively by HBCUs to have a presence in their communities. And certainly, while I was not here at the onset of our CDC, it has done wonderful things, and certainly I think it's valued by people in the community.
I have the distinct honor of being a charter member of the CDC board. I recall that just before Dr. Swinton came as president, there was a proposal written to start a CDC, but it never got off the ground. Once he got here, we found that he was very much interested in CDCs. And so we got it off the ground, got the bylaws written for the CDC, and established the board of directors. At that time, I was appointed by him to serve on the board of directors. And I've been there ever since 1995, since the inception.
The CDC used to help us with the acquisition of properties that we needed. We always briefed the community about everything we were doing, so they would be a part of it, and invited in to give their views and critiques if they wanted to, and that of course kept us in good standing with the community. And the CDC typically ran those community meetings that we did. We were about to do something new. Of course, in addition to building the Business Development Center, we tried to improve that whole little neighborhood around there. So, we tore down, this is another one of those little honky-tonk clubs that used to be in that spot. And it was they only operated after midnight. And it was not called the Midnight Lounge, but it had a very interesting clientele. I didn't even know they were there because they never came out in the daytime. And so I was driving back home one night and I saw that big crowd around that building. And I said, oh no, we got to get this out of the community. And so we were able to purchase that also with the help of the CDC and with a grant that we got from the federal government, from HUD, that the CDC helped prepare and write. And we turned it into a community technology center, which basically initially was to serve the technology need of older folks, but it also served the entire community. And also we did a lot of our CDC programs in there, like Youth Bill and those things. A lot of that stuff is done out of that center.
Well, we are two neighboring colleges. I like to call us sister institutions. I remember back in the day that we shared a lot of the resources between the two colleges. If one of the colleges had a strong program, academic program, and the other one had a not quite so strong program, then we would share. I remember walking across the street to classes at Allen and Allen students walking across to us. So there's always been a connection between Allen and Benedict. We share the space, we share the community. And so it made perfectly good sense for us to name this CDC the Benedict-Allen Community Development Corporation, and share the resources, share the leadership, share the initiatives. And I think it's just been important, and I think it's worked out just great.
I was requested to attend one of the meetings for a prior president, and I had already been exposed because my husband had done the same thing, and so I was thrilled to become involved, to have an opportunity to get out of the office and really get into the community. And then when I became president, of course, I would become involved. I had met Mrs. Hildebrand, my heart, and she made a point of coming to the office and, with the Waverly community, and she talked about some of her concerns in the community, and we discussed it. And she made a point of reminding me that there is also the CDC. And so when I came to the very first meeting, she turned around and she said, well, look who's here. And I just tried to make as many meetings as I could, just to get a chance to meet people in the community and to prayerfully strengthen the ties between the two universities, to make sure that we were collaborating on things that would benefit not only the schools but the community as a priority.
And when I ran for office, I became very familiar with the community because I was knocking on doors. A lot of people remember that I came by their house a couple times. And so I really got to know and had a strong connection with not only Benedict College, but the surrounding area. And I tell people running for office and even serving can be very trying. Yet one of the main focuses of the Community Development Corporation was Benedict College and the surrounding areas. That's how it kind of started. And I remember having our meetings and dealing with neighborhood presidents like Durham Carter, Marvin Heller, Miss Hildebrand, people that I miss dearly. But they wanted to have some of the dilapidated housing rebuilt, revitalize the neighborhood, have people want to come in and have home ownerships and homes and kind of give it a spark. And that's something that the Community Development Corporation did, and did with success. And it was a sense of pride. But as those projects continued to come online for not only Benedict but the surrounding areas, one of the things I was most proud of during our time was we started to branch out and go beyond to Eau Claire and Ridgeview, Ridgeland, areas like that, where we were bringing the blessings that this corporation brought to the surrounding area beyond. Because the CDC isn't just about bringing new housing to revitalize areas of need, but it's also about giving loans to businesses of need and to help with home ownership. I know when I was on the board, We had many times where we mentored and we had people come in to explain the values of home ownership and how to go about it. But absolutely, we're not just about, this corporation is not just about developing and bringing new housing, but it's about helping people get on their feet, and it's about helping businesses get on their feet.
The Reed Street and Waverly communities in Columbia, South Carolina know well the benefit and strength of having an HBCU CDC operating in their communities. For 25 years, Benedict College and Allen University have leveraged their capital and resources and empowered students and local residents through improved wellness, social involvement, job training, entrepreneurship, economic development, and affordable housing in the Reed Street and Waverly communities. This presentation represents the inspiring story of the Benedict-Allen Community Development Corporation. Today, we will highlight the history, trailblazers, visionaries, and exceptional contributors to the BACDC.
I feel that one of the most important accomplishments of the CDC has been providing housing for first-time low-income homeowners. I've attended several, over the years I attended several ribbon cuttings for these homes, and it was so touching to see how grateful the homeowners were, how proud they were to have a home, and remember some of their remarks and just see the delight on their faces as they went through their homes. That's a very precious memory to me.
My mom told me about the first-time homebuyers program through the city of Columbia. And that time I was actually working at the Supreme Court, which was walking distance to the loan office. And I started the process. I knew I had to get my credit checked, right? Like, you have to show how much money you have in the bank. But in that process, they also told me that I had to do a homeowner's workshop, and that it was through the CDC, or the Allen Benedict Community Development Center. And I knew exactly where that was. It's across the street from the Benedict Stadium. I pass it all the time. That's the neighborhood I grew up in. And I guess you could say that's where my journey started, other than, the basic credit checks. But my journey of talking about budgets and talking about what it means to be a homeowner versus a renter, like the journey began there. We talked about security. We had someone from law enforcement, if I'm not mistaken, talk about the more lighting you have around your home, the less likely you'll get burglarized. They talked about how you shouldn't have big shrubbery around your home because that's where someone can hide. And I thought big shrubbery was beautiful, right? So that was one of the topics. Landscaping was one. Before, when I either lived with my mom or rented, I never had to worry about landscaping. That was just included, So kind of, what does it take to keep up with your yard, and why that's important. And then the biggest part that I remember was the financing or the budget classes, right? Because if you were renting and then now you have a mortgage, well, for me, I was lucky. My mortgage was about half of my rent. But if anything goes wrong in my house, I don't just call somebody to fix it anymore. I have to replace the dryer, the washing machine. My refrigerator went out a couple years ago. I had to replace the refrigerator. So budgeting talked about, well, if you have extra money as a homeowner, you may not want to just continue to go out to eat all the time, which was my vice, but maybe you need to set that aside. Because if not, when big repairs are needed, which comes with big costs, you're either going to be using a credit card or you might be loaning money. However, if you have money set aside, you can finance your own crisis. And so I heard that 8 years ago. I didn't listen, but I heard that 8 years ago. And now, 7 years in my home, I've been lucky to get 0% financing and to create that cushion in my budget because I've seen repairs do happen. Once you care for your own house, you start to care about the area around your house. So not only do I want my house to look good and the outside to look good, but I want that for the community.
I have been into the community since birth. And this is something my parents have instilled in us. If you are a part of the community, be a part of the community. And if you see something that is not going well, then what is your contribution to change that? It all happened by accident. I was looking for some investment properties, preferably those properties that were abandoned in our city. You see those yellow tags on the houses as you go by, so you know that's an indication of them being empty and not being useful for anyone. So I talked to the mayor, I talked to some other people about possibly acquiring those homes, renovating them, and making them available for affordable housing for those people who are in need of that. Affordable housing is at a premium right now, and it's all over the country, not just here.
Marsha Fudge is a gift to communities all across this country. She's a personal friend. She is a former mayor, and people know that I am the unofficial president of the Mayor's Mutual Admiration Society. But her brand of leadership is going to help transform housing, mixed use, mixed income housing, housing that recognizes the human dignity, the power of economic dignity. I'm so excited. We had a chance to speak at length just a week or two ago. She's going to be a gift for not just the Benedict-Allen CDC, but for communities all across this country. I'm excited.
We are honored to have the 18th United States Secretary of Housing and Urban Development, Marsha L. Fudge, with us today to celebrate the 25th anniversary of the Benedict-Allen Community Development Corporation. Throughout her career, Secretary Fudge has worked to help low-income families, seniors, and communities across the country. Secretary Fudge served as U.S. Representative for the 11th Congressional District of Ohio from 2008 to March 9, 2021. She was a member of several congressional caucuses and the past chair of the Congressional Black Caucus. As a member of the Congress, Secretary Fudge earned a reputation of tackling the unique challenges of her district by working with her congressional delegation and across political ideologies. In 1999, Secretary Fudge was elected the first female and first African-American mayor of Warrensville Heights, Ohio, a position she held for 2 terms. As mayor of Warrensville Heights, she brought new residential development to the city and addressed the city's growing foreclosure crisis through the formation of a local partnership that helped residents maintain the financial security necessary to buy or keep a home. Secretary Fudge believes our housing issues do not fit into a one-size-fits-all approach. We need policies and programs that can adapt to meet a community's unique housing challenges. She is committed to making the dream of home ownership and the security and wealth creation that comes with it a reality for more Americans. Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you Secretary of Housing and Urban Development, Marsha L. Fudge.
Hi, it's my pleasure to join you in celebrating the 25th anniversary of the Benedict-Allen Community Development Corporation. The BACDC embodies the best of what the HBCU community represents, a shared commitment to educate, to serve, and to change people's lives for the better. For generations, the trailblazing graduates of HBCUs have shaped the course of our nation, and today, Vice President Kamala Harris is among the many leaders who are continuing this proud tradition. It should come as no surprise that this administration is focused on expanding support for America's HBCUs. In fact, President Biden has put forth a budget that will provide an additional $600 million in funding to colleges and universities that primarily serve students of color, including HBCUs. Furthermore, the President has issued a historic bill which recognizes that our educational institutions represent a vital part of our nation's infrastructure. Good schools serve as bedrock institutions for our society, just like our roads, our bridges, and our public utilities. That is why this new plan calls on our government to invest $15 billion to advance training in science, math, and technology at HBCUs and other institutions that serve communities of color. This funding would provide critical support to equip our young people of color with the skills they need to excel in our modern economy. I am proud to serve under a president and a vice president who are determined to advance fairness, opportunity, and equity in our nation. And as HUD Secretary, I will do everything in my power to support this administration in realizing this mission. I know the Benedict-Allen Community Development Corporation is working toward that same goal. I want to thank you for all that you've done and for all you will continue to do. Happy anniversary. Here's to many more ahead.
You know, it's interesting. I've been in Columbia for over 30 years. It's almost impossible to think of a time when the Benedict-Allen CDC wasn't active and working to change this community that had amazing people who are willing to put in the time and sweat equity to help transform the community, but needed some help, needed some partnership, needed some resources, needed to leverage not only capital, but also the wonderful intellectual and cultural power of two historically black colleges, and needed civic leadership to help pull it all together. I remember obviously being involved as a citizen before I was mayor in all things city, and being able to watch the transformation of this community because of the leadership of and creativity of the Benedict-Allen CDC. I can almost not remember a time, I guess it's been 25 years, but that the CDC has been doing great work over here in this community. The reality is that a great city is a collection of great neighborhoods. Neighborhoods are made up of men, women, and lots of babies who come together to make their communities great. Some of the challenges, some of the systemic challenges that we dealt with because of disinvestment in particular, gives you just a complex set of issues you have to deal with that requires public, private, nonprofit collaboration, requires the investment of federal resources and local resources, but it requires real leadership to pull that all together and to deliver on the promise of creating those vibrant neighborhoods we talk about. And that's what community development corporations do. They take these complex issues, these complex problems, help put together first, obviously, the collective vision about where we all want to go, put the people and the resources towards it, develop the capital stack, how we're going to pay for it, and then after a real journey, you get the job done. There are a lot of CDCs all across this country that deliver, and some that don't, who are not as productive. I'd put the record of the Benedict-Allen CDC up against any CDC across the country, and you can just look at the product, at homes created, at businesses incubated, microloans, at the not just the demolition of problems, but in the community, but you're getting rid of the problems and restoring it with something that's edifying. And the work around business development. I mean, it's just an amazing story of accomplishment. And I think the first 25 years, as transformative as they've been, will pale in comparison to the next 25 years. I think the time is right for explosive growth in this community.
Thank you all for having me today. I'd like to start by congratulating the 10 Community Impact Award recipients being celebrated today. I also like to offer special recognition to honorees Dr. Swinton, who is receiving the Visionary Award, and to Brenda Oliver for her role as CDC Board Vice Chair and her reception of the Chairman's Award. Today, we are celebrating your 25 years of inspiring, faithful service to your communities. In that time, You bolstered local efforts to increase and maintain safe, affordable housing for low-income households and the homeless. And throughout that time, your work has no doubt revitalized numerous communities. That's over 2 decades of important work dedicated to helping countless lives change their circumstances. You've helped so many rewrite their story for the better. When families are staring homelessness in the face and don't know who to turn to, you are there to serve as a beacon of hope and a symbol of a brighter future to come. For those of you who don't know me, I'd like to share a little bit of my story. I'm the son of a single mom from Orangeburg, South Carolina. We lived with my grandparents, and even though we didn't have much, we always had our values. My family taught me to work hard, tell the truth, say what you mean, and mean what you say. And they showed me that there is no greater honor than serving your community in any way you can. These are values that I've held close to the heart throughout my entire life, and they will continue to guide me as the chair of the Democratic National Committee. It is for that reason I have a deep admiration for the work that you all do here at Benedict-Allen CDC for the people of South Carolina. And that's precisely what I'm here to talk about today. Our mutual passion for equal opportunity and access to affordable housing. This issue is very near and dear to my heart, particularly with my good friend, Secretary Marcia Fudge, leading the Department of Housing and Urban Development for the Biden administration. Secretary Fudge has a long career of assisting low-income communities and a proven track record of delivering results. President Biden's decision to name her as head of HUD was a clear indication of this administration's desire to see to it that no one is left behind and no one is forgotten. Her work ethic and dedication to fighting for the least of these in our country is unparalleled. We are all fortunate to call her a partner in this fight. She, along with the rest of the Biden administration, they believe that investing in economic development and affordable housing will bring an abundance of opportunity. And folks, let me tell you this. Help is here with the American Rescue Plan that President Biden signed into law last month. This consequential legislation for working families will help Americans stay in their homes by providing emergency aid to cover back rent. It gives assistance to help struggling homeowners catch up with their mortgage payments and utility costs throughout the Homeowners Assistance Fund. And it provides additional funding for families and individuals who are recovering from the risk of homelessness. The American Rescue Plan makes important progress, but we can't stop there. You can't approach housing issues with a one-size-fits-all approach. I know I don't need to tell anyone here about the importance of affordable housing. For 80 years, Allen Benedict Court was a stepping stone to the American dream. Many of the people who shaped South Carolina were shaped themselves by their time spent living in the Allen Benedict Court. Then the funding dried up, and it became too difficult to maintain. We're not even certain what will replace it when it's torn down. It's a rarity to see affordable housing upgraded these days. But my friends, the Biden administration said it will build back better, and that means for everyone. Earlier this month, HUD announced that it had awarded resident opportunity and self-sufficiency grant funds to housing authorities across the country, including right here in Columbia, to assist families in meeting their professional, financial, health, and educational goals. The Ross program will help remove barriers so that residents can improve their economic mobility, health outcomes, and overall quality of life. Folks, it's shameful to know that too many Americans are struggling to keep or find an affordable home. That's why this administration is committed to addressing the issue of housing for some of our most vulnerable populations. We know this won't be a simple task. The institutional barriers that were put in the way of communities of color decades ago are often still in place today. And for far too long, they've been a stumbling block on the road to economic security for far too many families. To address this, We need to, and we must put an end to discriminatory practices in the housing market and to ensure that fair housing rules and programs are firing on all cylinders. And that requires opening the door for families who have traditionally been locked out of buying homes and securing the American dream, generation after generation. So what does that mean? Simply put, we got work to do, because we need policies and programs that actually work to meet the needs of every community. But my friends, the working class lived in Allen Benedict Court for over 80 years. The working class was attending institutions like Benedict College and Allen University. The working class was directly benefiting from these programs, and the country was thriving. Making our institutions more responsive and effective doesn't happen overnight. But if I learned anything over the past few years, it's that nothing can stop South Carolinians when we're united. Even with our backs against the wall and the odds stacked against us, there is nothing Americans can't accomplish. Together, we can strive toward a South Carolina where everyone knows the warm comfort of a home. Because the pillars of the American spirit cannot stand unattended. They must be reinforced in each generation by the support of dedicated citizens. I'm grateful to be working alongside you as we continue with these efforts. I know that when we stand together, we can overcome any obstacle. When we're united, Americans are strong, and I'm so excited to continue fighting for the good of our democracy alongside you. So together, my friends, we will keep working. There is no challenge that we can't overcome. Thank you, thank you, thank you for your time, and congratulations on 25 years of representing some of the best that this state has to offer.
As we look toward the next quarter of a century of service and collaborative partnerships that reflects the theme of this tribute, we reflect on changing lives and impacting the community. The methods that the Benedict-Allen CDC have employed to revitalize the community over the past 25 years have successfully transformed sections of the Reed Street and Waverly Street community. Relying on the lessons learned and past successes, the future of the Benedict-Allen CDC is bright and promises to continue to empower the community to fulfill the hopes and dreams of our residents.
Good afternoon. Thank you for taking time to spend with us to commemorate 25 years of the Benedict-Allen Community Development Corporation. Also, thank you for walking with us as we embrace our future, as articulated by our wonderful guests during this telecast. A word of heartfelt thanks and appreciation to the Benedict-Allen CDC's Chairperson Emeriti and President and CEO of Benedict College, Dr. Rosalind Clark Artis. It is also a pleasure to work with and alongside this wonderful board. Vice Chair, Ms. Brenda Oliver, our board secretary, Ms. Harriet Perkins, and our staff and leadership provided by our interim executive director, Ms. Venus Sabb. Columbia, I will let you know that all of last year, while the world may have been on pause, this CDC board continued to work for the citizens of this city and in this historic community. Dr. Johnny Ray Noble led our strategic plan. That team continues to work, planning 5 years of growth for the Benedict CDC. And join me in thanking the 25th year commemorative team led by Ms. Emma Myers Bailey. Thank you for this exquisitely produced telecast. Now don't go away. We have a few more things to show you. Take time as we recognize our honorees for their hard work and service to the Benedict-Allen CDC.